Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. A martial arts master who has never lost a fight enters a tournament to duel against 4 foreign fighters and win back the honor of the Chinese people. Today we will recap the story of the 2006 movie, Fearless. In Shanghai in the year 1910, at the end of the Ming Dynasty, foreigners ruled many Chinese cities that were important to the country's economy. Unable to fight off the invaders, the Chinese became known as the sick man of Asia. In order to humiliate the Chinese people, the Shanghai Foreign Affairs Association organized a tournament with 4 fighters from different countries to duel against the best fighter China had to offer. In order to rid his people of dishonor, Huo Yuanjia accepted the challenge. During the tournament, the referee starts the competition. The loser is the one who falls first or admits defeat. The first fight begins and Yuanjia must dodge the powerful punches of an English boxer. Although he is an excellent fighter, a single blow from that guy can end his physical integrity and the competition will be lost. After blocking a few attacks, Yuanjia uses his martial arts to quickly knock down his opponent. Next, the man faces a Belgic fighter, who uses a spear to attack him. In this armed duel, his opponent starts off with an advantage, but Yuanjia soon recovers and manages to defeat him with the spear to his neck. Furious, the guy leaves the arena and now the Chinese man will fight a Spanish swordsman. They exchange dozens of sword blows, until Yuanjia manages to cause a cut on his opponent's clothes. Seconds later, he snatches the sword from the man's hands and enshrines his third victory. His last opponent is Anno Tanaka, representing Japan. If he wins this fight, Yuanjia will be able to free his people from the humiliation they suffer at the hands of foreigners. But how did this man become China's greatest fighter? 30 years earlier, when Yuanjia was still just a boy, he used to secretly watch his father training. This awakened within him a great passion and desire to become a martial arts fighter. Just as Huo Nd is training his students, Yuanjia enters the room to deliver his tea, but is thrown out. His father orders him to go and practice calligraphy, but his real desire is to train martial arts with him. While Jinsun, his best friend, does his homework, Yuanjia practices a few moves on his own. Later, the boys take to the streets to watch Huo Nd fight Zhang. After signing the life and death agreement, the men begin their duel, and Yuanjia is happy to see that his father is winning the fight. When he is about to deliver the final blow, D stops his hand, because he does not want to cause his opponent's death or leave him seriously injured. At that instant, Zhang takes advantage of D's mercy and attacks him violently, sending the man out of the arena. In this way, Zhang wins the fight and his son, Zhao, who is in the audience, is proud of him. After the fight, Yuanjia is distraught and Jinsun tries to cheer him up. Suddenly, Zhao appears to taunt the boy, saying that his family is useless. He then challenges Yuanjia to fight him. The boy accepts the challenge, and just as he is about to throw his first blow, he is punched hard enough to knock him out. Despite getting beaten badly, Yuanjia continues and charges at his opponent again. However, Zhao knocks the boy down and presses his face against the ground. After the beating, the boy decides to return home and swears that this was his last defeat. When he finds out that Yuanjia had fought in the street, his father intends to punish him, but his mother shows up and asks Lai to take the boy to his room. Later, she goes to talk to him and the boy asks why his father doesn't want to teach him martial arts. The woman then says that D worries about him. Since Yuanjia has asthma, practicing those exercises could be dangerous for him. However, the boy fights back and says that he wants to learn martial arts to get revenge, but his mother warns him that learning to fight requires discipline and self-control. Martial arts are for achieving inner strength, not for fighting in the streets. Even after listening to her mother's advice, Yuanjia continues with his desire for revenge. 20 years later, he becomes one of the greatest fighters in his region, and since he started practicing martial arts, his asthma has disappeared. He is now a widower with a small daughter. His mother helps care for the child, but wishes her son would find another wife to be Jade's mother. However, Yuanjia claims that he does not have time to get married, as he spends most of his day training. Since he started fighting, Yuanjia has not lost once. If it continues like this, soon he will have no more opponents to face. While the man is talking to his mother, Lai appears with a new challenge for his master. Before leaving for a new duel, Yuanjia pays a visit to his father's grave and Jade appears with a gift for him. The girl says she will only deliver the gift when her father wins the fight, and Yuanjia goes excitedly to the battlefield. When he gets there, the man signs the life and death agreement and climbs into the ring to duel Zhao again. Now he will have the chance he has been waiting for to get his revenge. To reach the arena, the fighter climbs wooden stakes, but takes a shortcut in the middle of the way and starts climbing with the aid of a rope. As soon as he gets to the ring, he is greeted by Zhao with a kick, and immediately they begin to fight. With precise punches and kicks, Yuanjia attacks his enemy, who proves to be a worthy opponent. Despite receiving several blows, Zhao manages to block most of them and lands a punch to the great master's chest. When faced with the risk of losing a fight, Yuanjia becomes enraged and attacks him with all his strength and skill. The guy lifts a plank from the arena floor and breaks the wood on his opponent. After striking Zhao's leg, he kicks him in the face and manages to knock him down. However, the man gets up and returns to the arena. With his technique dubbed Tiger Claw, he goes after Yuanjia and almost knocks him out, but the martial arts master gets up again and, after breaking his opponent's tendons, knocks him out of the ring. Zhao falls several meters, but is still alive. As the man gets up to leave, Yuanjia celebrates another victory. To end the evening, he goes to party at the restaurant of Jinsun, who has become a successful businessman. Upon arriving there, he is greeted by his friend. While they are eating, two guys appear and ask Yuanjia to become their master. The fighter accepts the request and orders the waiters to serve his new disciples. At the end of dinner, he takes Jinsun to the arena. Now his friend knows what it is like to be up there. While feeling the breeze hitting his face, Yuanjia remembers all the duels he experienced there. No matter how strong and prepared his opponent was, he always won every fight, whether they were empty-handed or armed battles. In order to prove his power, the guy challenges all the fighters in Tianjin to fight him at the same time, and yet Yuanjia remains undefeated. After this episode, dozens of men come after him with the intention of becoming his disciples, and Yuanjia accepts them all. Moreover, he allows those slackers to eat and drink whatever they want. Later, one of Jinsun's employees shows him the bill that Yuanjia owes the restaurant. As the fighter celebrates yet another victory, a man approaches his ear and says that he shouldn't celebrate because he hasn't fought Master Qin yet. Later, his friend tries to convince him to stop fighting, but Yuanjia says he will continue practicing his martial arts until he becomes the best fighter in Tianjin. When Jinsun mentions the amount the man owes after making so many celebrations in his restaurant, Yuanjia assures him that he will pay it all back the next day. Before leaving, Jinsun advises his friend to be careful of the men who walk beside him, as they are only there to take advantage of him. A few days later, Master Qin returns to town and Yuanjia can hardly wait for an opportunity to confront him. That night, Lai tells Yuanjia that his disciples have incurred a lot of debt in his name. Now his savings are gone and he has no money left. During the conversation, some of Yuanjia's pupils appear carrying a man on a stretcher. They report that Master Qin was responsible for beating him up. Upon hearing this, the wrestler goes to Jinsun's restaurant, where Qin was celebrating his birthday, and challenges him to a duel. The man states that he does not wish to fight that day, as he would like to celebrate his birthday with his family. However, Yuanjia informs him that he is there to avenge his disciple and states that he has already signed the life and death agreement. He then challenges his opponent to do the same. Just then, Jinsun appears and asks his friend to leave, because he is disrespecting Master Qin. He suggests that they duel the next day, but Yuanjia orders everyone to leave the restaurant, as his sword calls for revenge. Within seconds of the duel starting, the place is already partially destroyed, with broken tables, chairs and floors. Yuanjia is the first to wound his opponent with a sword strike and causes a cut on Master Qin's bald head. After receiving that blow, the man becomes even more aggressive and his attacks become more precise. Both are bruised and bleeding, but that duel will only end when one of the two is no longer able to fight. Yuanjia tears a piece of his opponent's shirt and Qin breaks his sword in half. Even with only half of his weapon in hand, the duel continues. They fall into the water and Yuanjia loses the rest of his weapon. When Qin goes to attack him, he grabs his sword and kicks the man in the face. In the kitchen, they engage in hand-to-hand combat and destroy all the shelves during the battle. Yuanjia punches Qin several times in the face and breaks his arm. The man rips open his opponent's shirt and lands a final blow to his chest, dislocating all the bones. At this moment, Qin faints and Yuanjia leaves the restaurant. He is greeted with joy by his disciples and Qin's pupils rush to his aid. The next morning, Yuanjia finds out that Qin is dead and Jinsun refuses to remain his friend. Later, when he returns home, he finds his mother is dead. Shaken, the man runs to his daughter's room and sees that the girl has also been killed. With a sword in his hands, he goes in search of the culprit and one of Master Qin's disciples takes responsibility for having eliminated his family. After killing him, Yuanjia considers eliminating the man's family as well, but gives up doing so and leaves. Hours later, the disciple who was injured confesses to his master that he was drunk and offended Qin's wife, so the man beat him up. When faced with the harsh reality of having killed an innocent man, who only wanted to defend his wife's honor, and still losing his entire family, Yuanjia decides to take a ship and travel far away. Months later, the man can no longer bear his own existence and tries to take his own life by drowning in a lake. However, his plans do not work out and he is rescued by the residents of a small village. After they take care of him, Yuanjia begins to recover and meets Moon, a blind woman who, despite her limitation, has not given up her happiness and autonomy. Moon is able to do all the chores, even without sight. She even offers to wash Yuanjia's hair to prevent it from getting tangled. When he finally decides to go out and meet the villagers, he is greeted by several children and is enchanted by the beauty of the place. During lunch, Moon's grandmother asks the woman to take Yuanjia to work in the fields the next day. While planting the seedlings alongside two other men, the martial arts master decides to compete with them to find out who can get the job done in the shortest time. However, he is surprised to find that these people are in no hurry and stop, quietly, to enjoy the breeze while the wind blows. The other morning, a boy wakes Yuanjia and informs him that he has not done a good job, so Moon is planting everything again. The man then goes over to help her, and the woman says that the seedlings cannot be planted too close together, because then there is no room to grow. They are like people. One must respect the other so that all can live in peace. Upon hearing this, Yuanjia assures her that she will remember these words. In time, he learns to be patient and take it easy, just like the villagers. While working, Yuanjia overhears Moon's grandmother inviting the woman to go visit her parents' grave, and at this moment he also misses his family. After reflecting, he decides to return to his hometown to visit his friends and the grave of his relatives. In telling Moon about this, the woman says that although Yuanjia had spent many years in that village, she always knew that one day he would leave. However, the man promises that he will return soon, and Moon claims that she will never forget him. When he arrives in Tianjin, Yuanjia realizes that the place is overrun by foreigners. When he arrives home, he is welcomed by Lai, who is extremely happy to see him. The man says that when Yuanjia left, the creditors showed up to collect the debts and wanted to take the house as payment, but Jinsun sent money to them and so they were able to pay off everything they owed. After visiting his family's grave, the fighter reads a newspaper article in which the Chinese are called the sick men of Asia, by O'Brien, a foreigner known as Hercules, who has beaten all of his Chinese opponents. That same day, Yuanjia goes to see his friend Jinsun and, despite knowing that the man has not yet forgiven him, borrows money from him. Yuanjia intends to go to Shanghai to participate in a tournament and defend the honor of the Chinese people. Before even knowing Jinsun's answer, the man leaves and goes to pay a visit to Master Qin's wife. He asks forgiveness for what he has done and asks if the woman will allow him to visit her husband's grave. After bowing a few times, the man returns home. Hours later, a messenger appears at Jinsun's request and delivers the money Yuanjia needs to go to Shanghai. When he gets there, he challenges O'Brien to a fight. Before the fight even begins, the audience is confident that the American boxer will be the winner, but Yuanjia delivers the first blow. Hercules then throws the Chinese man to the ground and grabs him by the neck, but the martial arts master is able to get free from his hands and knocks the bald man to the ground. O'Brien gets up and goes at him again. The man tries to crush his spine, but Yuanjia strikes his rib and manages to break free. Although he is much smaller than his opponent, he knows that in a duel, the most important thing is not brute strength, because this factor can be compensated with technique and training. After knocking O'Brien down several times, Yuanjia twists his arm, but he manages to shake off the attack and throws his opponent to the ground. He then throws his body at him, but the Chinese man manages to hold him back and breaks his elbow before destroying Hercules' neck. At this point, he considers the fight as won, since, if he wanted, he could eliminate the boxer with that one blow. That being the case, Yuanjia gets up, thanks him for the fight and leaves. However, O'Brien refuses to accept defeat and pulls the man back into the ring. While being pulled by the leg, Yuanjia kicks his opponent and sends him out of the arena. When Hercules was about to be killed, with his head pierced by an iron bar, the martial arts master pulls him back and saves his life. This time, the boxer accepts his defeat and thanks Yuanjia for saving him. After that, the Chinese man opens his own martial arts school and becomes very well known in the country. One day, he receives an invitation from Jinsun to visit him during his stay in Shanghai. While having a cup of tea, Yuanjia asks when his friend will return to Tianjin, and the man informs him that he has no intention of going back there. He tells how he sold the restaurant to open the Jingwu Sports Federation. Finally, Jinsun invites his friend to work with him in the federation as a martial arts master and teacher. During a conversation with other foreigners, Mita, a Japanese investor, says that he suggested a competition with 4 duels between the best fighters from 4 countries against Yuanjia. Upon hearing this, Mita's allies decide to trust his plan and bet big that the Chinese will lose this competition. A few days later, Jinsun goes to his friend's house and informs him that one of the competitors, Tanaka, wishes to meet him before the fight. The man is a Japanese fighter and, like Yuanjia, has never lost a duel. Yuanja invites Tanaka over for tea and asks Jinsun for a favor. He says that after the tournament, he wants the man to take over the federation, as he intends to return to the village to visit Moon and her grandmother. As they drink a cup of tea, the Japanese man asks if Yuanja understands anything about that drink. The man then replies that he likes to taste it, but doesn't usually spend time studying its differences. However, Tanaka rebuts by saying that all teas have different characteristics and notes, but Yuanja says that all herbs grow the same way in nature, so the small differences between them don't matter. The Japanese says that if Yuanja understood about teas, he could judge these differences, and the martial arts master says that this is a uniquely human characteristic. A tea does not judge itself, it is people who judge it, just as they also judge each other. Tanaka then asks if Yuanja believes that one fighting style can be better than another, and the man says no. He says that training levels define a fighter's success, and competitions only serve to inflate people's egos. Tanaka is surprised to hear about this reflection and thanks Yuanja for the wise words. Days later, the competition takes place, and after defeating the first 3 competitors, Yuanja must face Tanaka. The Japanese takes his sword to assist him in the duel, and the weapons master decides to use a Sangi Gon. The fight begins, and neither of them can land a single blow on their opponent. During the duel, they accidentally switch weapons. However, Tanaka does not know how to use the Sangi Gun masterfully and ends up hurting himself. Then, in order not to leave his opponent at a disadvantage, Yuanja returns the sword to him and takes his weapon back. As they exchange blows, the Japanese man breaks the chains that bind the Sangi Gun and separates the sticks. Seconds later, a draw is declared in the fight, as both fighters break their weapons before delivering the killing blow to their opponent. Meanwhile, someone changes Yuanja's tea and the man drinks the liquid before leaving for the next round, which consists of a melee duel. In the very first seconds of the fight, after knocking Tanaka down, Yuanja starts coughing and feels that something is wrong. Suddenly, his vision begins to blur and, even though he has not been hit, he spits blood on his opponent. Tanaka gets scared and asks to stop the fight, against Mita's wishes, who encourages the boy to take the opportunity to ensure his victory. Jinsun rushes to help his friend and soon discovers that he has been poisoned. When they look at the table, the tea is gone. His companions wish to take him to the hospital, but Yuanja knows that there is no more salvation for him, as the poison was already in his bloodstream. The master asks his men not to seek revenge for what has happened and says that he will continue the fight. Before climbing back into the ring, Mita orders Tanaka to win that fight, no matter what. However, in front of Yuanja, he asks the man to stop fighting and spare his life. But the Chinese claims that it will be an honor to die in that duel, and they fight again after the bell strikes. Yuanja is already weak and is kicked in the stomach. He tries to block his opponent's blows, but his reflexes are impaired. The man devotes all the rest of his strength to that battle and manages to deliver a deadly blow to Tanaka's chest, just as he did to Master Chin. However, Yuanja doesn't want to make the same mistake he made that time and breaks his fist before touching his opponent. Tanaka realizes what has happened and looks into Yuanja's eyes as he sees his weakened body falling to the ground. But before the referee could announce the winner, the Japanese man helps Yuanja to his feet and gives him the victory of that fight. When questioned by Mita, the man states that he lost fair and square, and if not for Yuanja's benevolence, he might be dead. On that day, the weapons master died of poisoning, at the age of 42, just 3 months after founding the Jungwoo Sports Federation. However, the spirit of his martial arts continues to spread throughout the world and lives on even after his death. So, what did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like it and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.